If you are here because you're tired of being in the same position and you really want to know what it takes to win, get ready. I'm talking about making more money than you have to spend in your lifetime. So having more money in profits than you have in bills and expenses. I want to let you guys know I didn't come into business being highly successful. I didn't come into business knowing it all. You don't know what you don't know until you realize that you don't know it. But by the time you realize you don't know it, it's already too late. If you want to actually get wealthy and rich in 2024, most people have a business. They don't know how to drive it. It's like a vehicle that don't know how to drive. And in order to get from point A to point Z, you must have four wheels in order to make that vehicle move you from one place, right, into another direction. Most people are sitting on carts. Some people have flat tires. You don't know what it takes to actually grow and expand the business. It's like you got to be serious enough to want to invest in that business, period. It's not a guess game. I started a business. Let me just guess and figure it out. Do you have 10 to 15 years to guess and figure it out? And if not, what you need is a blueprint of success. Whether it's a blueprint from someone who succeeded before you, that wrote a book about how they succeeded, what steps they took, or whatever. Whether you get it in a course or a training or a mentor or a coach, you need help. Hey, what's up, everybody? So if you are here because you want to make more money, you want to create some wealth for yourself, you want to know how to get rich this year in 2024, I'm going to dive into some things really for you so you can have a walk away at least with a game plan or a better understanding of what it will take for you to get there. Welcome in. So I'm Karwanna D, and I am a government contracts expert. For those of you who are just joining, be sure to like my channel, join my channel, subscribe, all those things, and share out the post, right? So over the past few years, I've helped thousands of actually entrepreneurs get their business pre-qualified for landing and securing lucrative government contracts for their business. And you guys, I can't tell you how many opportunities I see that are out there for small businesses that they're not ready for it, or they just allow themselves to just remain the same. So if you are here because you're tired of being in the same position and you really want to know what it takes to win, get ready. If we could just have a conversation and you want me to really give to you information and strategies and tips that I have learned that I know works. And not only has it worked for me, but it's worked for several of my clients that have gone on to not only get rich, but create wealth for themselves. But first, let's define the word rich, right? Because it could mean a lot of things for a lot of different people. And you could be rich in health as well as in wealth, right? And you could be rich in a lot of different ways. But what I'm talking about, making more money than you have to spend in your lifetime. So having more money in profits than you have in bills and expenses, right? That's what I mean by rich and becoming wealthy. So now that we're on the same page, get ready. So first, I want to let you guys know I didn't come into business being highly successful. I didn't come into business knowing it all. Did not. Most people do not. I backed into business with all the misconceptions that I had learned about business. So, how many of you were told that it's going to take 2 to 3 years or maybe 2 to 5 years to turn a profit in business? How many of you were told if you want to start a business, you got to go find out who your target audience is, right? And then you go and find someone name of X, Y, and Z who's probably married, maybe have a college degree and make so much money a year, and we're carving out these individual peoples. I did the same thing, and guess what I found over the years is that none of that worked. And in fact, when you follow the common misconceptions, you get common results. It does not work. But if you ask someone like Warren Buffett, maybe whoever you in a high place, in a high level place, someone that you have access to be able to ask real questions like that, I guarantee you they're not carving out individual people as their target market. I guarantee they don't have a 5-year plan to create profits. I guarantee they don't carve out what type of marketing budget do I need to have to advertise. They're not carving out these things. Like what type of grants do I need? All the things that you are doing The proof is in the pudding. Is it working? That's the question. Ask yourself, right? First, get a gauge on that, because if it is not working and you continue to do the same thing, right, you're going to continue to get the same results. So the first thing that I want to say, if you really do want to create wealth and you really do want to get rich in 2024, whether you have a business or not, you need to have a business as a vehicle to be able to do that. But the problem is most people have a business, they don't know how to drive it. It's like a vehicle that don't know how to drive. And in order to get from point A to point Z, when you have a vehicle, you must have 4 wheels in order to make that vehicle move you from one place, right, into another direction. Most people are sitting on carts. Some people have flat tires. You don't know what it takes to actually grow and expand the business. When you get really serious about creating wealth and getting rich with your business, that's the first step, right, is to have a business. It's like you got to be serious enough to want to invest in that business, period. It's not a guess game. I started a business. Let me just guess and figure it out. If you have 10 to 15 years to guess and figure it out, do you have 10 to 15 years to guess and figure it out? And if not, what you need is a blueprint of success. Whether it's a blueprint from someone who succeeded before you, that wrote a book about how they succeeded, what steps they took, or whatever, you can get it in a book. It costs less than $40, $50 to get a book to follow a blueprint. Whether you get it in a course or a training or a mentor or a coach, you need help, right? Because you don't know what you don't know until you realize that you don't know it. But by the time you realize you don't know it, it's already too late. You've already spent so many years trying to figure the thing out, throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something will stick. If you want to actually get wealthy and rich in 2024, it's going to take focus, and it's going to take action step and a blueprint. It's going to take a real game plan to make that happen. So now that we got through having a business and what that looks like, but here's the thing, like once you have a blueprint, there's a difference between those who will get results with the same blueprint and those who do not get results. And I'm going to tell you what those gaps are. But before I tell you what those gaps are, it's just the first time you ever, let's say, made a cake. The first time you ever baked a cake, if you're the person is, I think it's flour, I think it's sugar, I think it's probably some vanilla extract or some butter, I think you put milk and I think you put water, then you're just guessing. And sometimes that cake may come out flat or hard or whatever because it's wrong. However, if you want to make cake like grandma, you got to get grandma's instructions, right? And ingredients, and get the recipe, right? And follow the recipe step by step. So I've never been the type of person that will follow recipes. I used to guess in every area. And it's things that you do, your daily habits, it shows up in every area. I didn't want to go read recipe books. I didn't want to ask people for their recipes. I didn't want to get a checklist of things. I just wanted to go out and do it. But guess what? I failed in every area. But I also failed in business. For the first 5 years, I failed because I didn't have that checklist. I didn't have the recipes to success. However, now, when you do get a recipe to success, here's the difference between personality A and personality B. Personality A gets results because they follow the blueprint. Personality B doesn't follow the blueprint, but they have it, right? And that's just the thing. Just because you have a blueprint does not mean that you're going to follow it. So it's up to you. I learned this concept from one of my favorite mentors, right? Because I have mentors and coaches that help me with blueprints of success. And that's how I've been able to achieve and grow so fast, because instead of me trying to figure it out, I'm like, who's done it before? What do I need to do to connect with them and to get their advisory? And so I've invested into myself. And so these are the things that you will have to do. The person that has the thing in their hand, but do not deploy the thing, are usually the ones that are in their own way. These are the know-it-all. I already know how to do that. I already know how to build business credit. I've seen it on YouTube and online and stuff like that, but you've never done it before. If you already know the things, right? The litmus test is, have you gotten results and have it worked out for you? And if not, then guess what? You absolutely do not know, because had you known, you would know how to leverage that business credit. This is just an example to actually create hundreds of thousands of dollars for yourself to get the ball rolling in the money momentum, right? So some people think they know it all, and that's the problem. If you think you know it all, then it's really hard for you to get results. Nobody knows that, like even I. And I am a very successful government contract extraordinaire who still don't know everything. Every single day I show up as a student, willing to learn, right? Every single day I'm like, I don't know anything, pour into me, right? As I'm pouring out into other people with the things that I do know, I'm having other people pouring into me right now as I'm here, even at a coaching program where I'm learning the things that I do not know. My favorite coach, Myron Golden, he taught me this business success secret, the be, do, have success principle. Becoming the person. Now, as you being where you are, exactly where you are, all the things that you believe, all the things that you have accomplished up to now, knowing that you want to go over to this other side, which is a higher level, the higher version of you, you cannot go into your next level being exactly who you are right now. But some people don't want to change. And that is the problem. They don't want to evolve. They don't want to change their belief systems because they have been so used to being the same person, right? And guess what? Same practice creates same results. That's why, regardless if you've been in business for 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, or whatever, you have had the same exact outcome, same exact outputs, simply because you have not evolved as a person. They say the higher you grow, your revenues, your income, your profits, it grows with you. So if you're not in a community where you're able to learn new things and learn them often, then guess what? That's how you're stuck. You have to be willing to admit that stuff to yourself, right? So if you really want to grow and really want to create more wealth and really want to get rich in 2024, then you have to ask yourself this question. If I want to get rich, what does that look like? What does getting rich look like for me? Because it could be 100,000 for some people and it could be 100 million for others, and somewhere all in between. So you got to write down that number. What is your wealth number that you want to accomplish? And then you have to ask yourself, what do I need to do to accomplish this thing, right? So just because you have a blueprint doesn't mean that blueprints don't make you rich. Blueprints don't help you build a business. Blueprints don't allow you to create wealth. Blueprints doesn't allow you to evolve as a person. There are some things that you must do. So be, do, have, right? It's going to take some work. And I'm not talking about work, sweat, and tears. I'm talking about real work, and mentally, emotionally, and physically, right? It's going to take more work than you're doing today to get you to where you want to be tomorrow. Les Brown, one of my other coaches and mentor, he says that same practice creates same results, right? If you want to have what other people won't have, you got to be willing to do what other people won't do, right? And what can that look like for you? It may mean that you have to spend an extra hour in the morning and an extra hour in the evening when everybody goes to sleep, working on you and your game plan and doing implementation, having a new identity. This person that's creating wealth and getting rich, this person it's transformation. It's going to be some pruning of some leaves and the pruning of some branches. You got to cut yourself back. So it's going to hurt. But if you're willing to go through that transition, then that is when you're ready to have the transformation. And the thing is, not everybody is willing to go through that transition. Like, oh, I'm too tired. She wants me to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to do this. Guess what? The early birds gets the worm. So the person that's willing to do that, which 98% of the people won't. That's why there's only 2% of entrepreneurs in the US that are millionaires, because the 2% are doing what the 98% refuse to do because they get in their own way. They think they know it all. They fight against the blueprint. It doesn't make sense. Either follow the blueprint or not. If you are not coachable, there makes no sense for you to have a coach if you are uncoachable, right? So anyways, you got to be coachable. You got to say, what version of myself do I need to become in order to have this result of this future person? I need to live it now. If that future person is healthier, they eat right, then you got to start doing it right now. If that future person doesn't spend frivolously, then you got to start not spending frivolously right now. If that future person makes heavy investments in themselves, you got to become that person right now. You got to live it in the moment. You got to live it before you can see it come into fruition. You want to know where you stand? Go look at your last 12 months profit and loss statement and see. That's going to let you know, are you happy with those numbers? And if not, you need to shift. You got to be willing and ready to shift. So everybody think that they have to do this and can do this alone. No. It takes teamwork to make the dream work. It really does. Whether that teamwork is a spouse that you're working with, or a business partner that you're working with, or a mentor or a coach, you cannot do it alone. Because guess what? If you're just left to yourself, then your growth is limited to how much you pour into your mindset. You have limitations. But when you put two people with two brilliant minds together, that is so powerful. And then you multiply that circle into a community of like masterminds. Now you have the ability to have exponential growth, and it will show up on that profit and loss statement. It will. You can actually accomplish that when you do the work. But most people don't want to do the work. And so you can't have the result until you're willing to do the work, right? You cannot go into this millionaire mindset without actually becoming the person today, right now, in real time. You got to become that person. If you don't know who that person needs to be, do some soul searching. Read some books, do some research online. Who are some of the wealthiest women or some of the wealthiest men in the United States? What do they do? How do they show up into life? What are their belief systems? How are they investing? How do they spend money? Do they use credit? Robert Kiyosaki, in fact, used debt to create billions of dollars. But yet the average person says, I want to live debt free, but then they're broke. So we have to follow the blueprints that are set forth before us, right? You got to be willing to follow the blueprints. This level of like thinking really is really not for everybody. Trust me. I used to think that everybody can make $1 million in a year. And the reality is everybody doesn't have the mindset of a millionaire. Right? And for those who don't, some just don't want to. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you're enjoying it. I wanted to take some time to invite you to join me in the GovCon Challenge. The GovCon Challenge takes place once a month, where I invite a bunch of entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs to come and have me teach you the 5 things you must do to pre-qualify your business to land lucrative contracts with the government. So join me in the GovCon Challenge. Click on the link in the description. You'll be glad you did. Join as VIP for exclusive behind-the-scenes information, and you could become a part of the top 1% of entrepreneurs across the nation. Now back to the video you were watching. Because they don't want to change. And so they will never probably get there. But there are some people who are like, I don't currently have the mindset right now of a millionaire, multi-millionaire, but I would like to have that mindset. What do I need to do and who do I need to become? Get yourself a mentor that's going to nurture you. I don't have to be the mentor. Some of y'all, I would love to be your mentors, but I can't be everybody's mentor if you're not willing to grow, right? Because some of those belief systems that you have, we gotta, what you call it, uproot some of those things, because those are the things that are holding you back. If you're not willing to get uprooted, right? If you want me to shift, like some things gonna have to change. So some people don't want to be uprooted. They're okay with where they are because this is the way mama did it and grandma did it, and I'm just not gonna change. But guess what? The way grandma and mama live, it's going to follow over into your lifestyle. And so if you really want change, you got to really take a serious look at those things and see, what do I need to do? Who do I need to become? So it's all in the mind. Creating wealth is a mindset. Attracting wealth is a mindset. If you're a naysayer or a disbeliever and you speak the opposite of what you really want to accomplish, if you speak those things, then they become so, right? Because words are powerful, and it's in the Bible. Words are powerful. You can speak those things that are not, that as if they were so, or you can speak those things that are so as if they were not. So it's a matter of how you think in your belief system. Believing is everything, right? You got to believe it before you can see it. And scripturally speaking, it says, like some people say in the world, they say seeing is believing. And then we've been programmed to believe. In order to have something come to fruition, you got to see it happen first. That's so backwards. When you believe, you empower yourself to take action to do the work so that then you can get the result. But it starts with belief. Do you believe that you can create wealth in 2024? Do you believe that you can make more money in a single month than you can make in a year? If you believe it, then you will take action upon those things, right? I believe it. And it has happened for me because I've taken action towards those things. And I have put everything says I believe. Like I've put resources, time, and everything else into that belief system, which allows me to then get the result. You got to be willing to bet on you. Here's the thing. It's like a lot of times people ask, because I'm a coach and I work with a lot of people across the nation. And a lot of times people ask that I'm not working with currently. They're like, can you do it for free? And then I pay you on the back end. And that's seems and appears to be a logical question. But the thing is, how can you expect someone to believe in you more than you believe in yourself? Because that's what you're really saying. Because if you really want it, when people want cars, they go figure it out. And a car is a liability. When people want houses, what do? They go get a mortgage and they figure it out. And houses, most houses are huge liabilities, right? There's some tax benefits there, but they are liabilities. Unless that house is a rental property, it's a liability, not an asset, right? People want expensive bags. I don't buy expensive bags like Louis Vuitton and that. I don't want to make them rich. I want to create a legacy and make my own family name rich, right? They buy those things because guess what? They want them. But when it comes time to invest in yourself as an entrepreneur, as a business who say, I want to get rich, then what you say when you ask someone to do something for free is, I want to get rich, but I don't believe in myself enough to really invest in myself. I'll invest in Prada. I'll invest in Chase Home Mortgage. I'll invest in Mercedes Benz, but I ain't gonna invest in myself. That's what it's saying to you. So you got to know that this is what you want and be willing to put your belief system into action and invest in yourself. But for those who invest in themselves, I promise you, I have absolutely nothing that I'm offering. I'm having a real conversation about mindset because I work with a lot of people, and that is the difference between those that I see who are probably making less than six figures that come in and they learn the things that I tell them and they're completely coachable, to learning how to make over $2 million in their business in a single year. And the thing is, the belief system has to change, right? Because you actually attract who you are in relationships. You attract who you are in life. You attract who you are in wealth and money and finances too, right? So what you're attracting is based off your belief system. And if you don't like what your belief system is currently printing out in 3D, then guess what? You got to change. What am I currently believing about money and wealth and riches that is not serving me? And what do I need to replace those beliefs with so that it can serve me at a level where I'm able to manifest? I'm not talking about hocus pocus stuff. I'm like, where I'm able to manifest these things in real fruition and live it out instead of just dreaming about it. Because a dream without goals and without action steps is wishful thinking. Are you a wisher or are you a visionary for your life? Because if you're a visionary, visionaries write vision boards and then they write, this is the clear picture of what I want to accomplish. And this is the clear steps of what I need to do to get there. And these are the clear people that I need to connect with because I need to know what they know, because guess what? They have accomplished these things already. So instead of it taking me a decade to figure it out on my own, I can shorten that time frame and learn it in 6 to 12 months and get the results right within my first 12 months of business, of life, or whatever. And so that is what true visionaries do. They make the plan, they create the action steps, and then they connect with the people that's going to help them get there. Because guess what? It says, let us create riches. Let us do these things in 2024 because it takes a team. So now, when you understand that part, now you have to go find something to sell to people. Now you have to have something to offer, right? What do I sell in business? What are your gifts? What do you love to do? You got to find something that solves a problem, right? Regardless of whether it's janitorial service, rental services, diversity, equity, public trainings, whether it's consulting services, helping businesses get up and get started or whatever your gifts is that you want to do, you got to identify that, right? And then you have to find someone who will pay you the most money for solving their problems. The one and only entity, there's two entities that I've seen that pays big money is corporations and the government. But most people want to go to Tina, who has a husband with 3 children, maybe is a homeowner, probably makes about $100,000 a year, and they want to sell Tina a $50,000 product or a $50,000 service, and Tina ain't got no money because of X, Y, and Z and all these things and going through divorce and all the way her bank account is hooked up to her checking account, whatever it is, right? Tina ain't got no money, but guess what? You take that same product or service and sell it to the government, and you can make the same $50,000 that you would have made selling one person to Tina in a year. You can make that in a single day, selling to someone who got the pockets deep enough to pay you, and they're willing to pay you, right? You got to find someone who's willing to pay you big bucks so that you're able to create the wealth faster, not slower. The person that got the deepest pockets is the government, right? They're the number one biggest purchaser of business products and service in the world. So it makes absolutely zero sense to me why everybody is not doing this, especially if you say, I want to create wealth for myself and my family. Now, if you've ever said these words, I want to create generational wealth, and you're not doing business with the government, then you are anti-selling. What does it mean? You are not selling, right? You are not growing, right? And because guess what? The government has all the money in the world. our U.S. government. Like they spend billions of dollars. And so I did the research, and you guys can look this up. I said, what is the average dollar amount of government contracts awarded to small businesses in the U.S.? I found the average minimum award is $2.7 million. Do you have $2.7 million as a client? There's 33 million businesses in the US. The average award to those who are doing business with the government are awarded, this is baseline, right? Some making multiples of 2.7 million. Some are making 30, 50, 40, whatever million, right? Some are making hundreds of thousands or whatever. But the average, according to the Small Business Act of America, it says 2.7 million. Like, you're like, if I could get $2.7 million a year from the government, I will be rich. That's well enough to pay for my bills. That's well enough to create the lifestyle that I want. That's well enough for me to invest in things. That's well enough for me to live wealthy. 2.7 million. So if you're playing with the game, meaning that you don't have a blueprint to do it, you don't want to invest in yourself to learn, whether it's a book or a class or a mentor or whatever, and you want to take the free route, guess what? Free route equals free, because money begets money. Let everything produces after its own kind. So if you are not investing money, there's no way for the money to produce after its own kind, because you put zero into it, which is why so many people who go the free route absolutely get zero results, right? That's why it's lonely at the top. That's why it's only 2%, right? That are at the top. And they say only 6% of these entrepreneurs that are online looking to look make six figures. That is a very staggering number. And we're talking about entrepreneurs in general. Now, when you talk about the Black and brown community, it's even more shocking, because guess what? We are hundreds of decades behind in mindset and belief and understanding how money works. But when are you going to fix it? Because guess what? It starts with you. You have to be the one that go redistribute the wealth from the government pockets into yours, so that you can create wealth and actually be doing things in your business that impacts, right? Because when you're inputting things into the universe, that's good, right? Your janitorial service, it does good work, right? Your real estate services, it does good work. Your consulting services, it does good work. Your psychological services, it does good work. When you're doing those things and doing good work, guess what? It's going to be more good that comes back to you. More doors are going to open, more opportunities, and you're going to begin to multiply that wealth. But it got to start with somewhere. And so when you are an example, then other people are going to be like, what are you doing? How did you do that? And then guess what? Now that you've done it successfully, you now have the blueprint where you can help other people. It's us that's creating wealth and transformation and change. It's us that are cycling these monies back into our lives, our family lives, and then into our communities. When you have no money, and hear me when I say this, it's almost election time. When you have no money, you have no power. There's always going to be somebody else orchestrating the rules and the regulations, right? If you have no money, you have no power to influence, not even politics. You have a little bit of money, you have a little bit of power. But when you have much money, guess what? How much 2.7 million can do over a decade? That's over 20, 25 million in a decade. When you have that type of money, you have that type of power to influence policy, right? For businesses and entrepreneurs and women and minorities and senior citizens, you have influence when you have money. When you have no money, you have nothing you say, no marches that you can do will change things. Nothing. I don't care if you're shutting down freeways, it does not change a thing. But if you have some money to influence legislation, I promise you can get some things done at the root. So we have to have a plan, and we have to have a plan of action to make a change and to be the change that you want to see. I know that this is not for everybody, but this is the real. I can only talk about what's real and what I see. There are 7-figure earners in that room, and it's a very small room. But the mindset that is in that room are the people who are willing to do the work. And those are the people who are willing to invest in themselves. And those are the people who are making 7 figures and will be going on to make 8 figures and beyond, because they're in the right places and they understand the things that I'm sharing with you. And so all we can continue to do is just drop the nuggets and plant the seeds. It's probably not going to be us that you decide to work with. Maybe there's going to be other people that will come and water the plant. And maybe it's going to be someone that's going to come and till the ground. But I promise when the seed is planted, it shall grow. It will grow if you allow it to, unless you uproot yourself. And the seed on top of dirt doesn't do anything but die. It withers and dies in the sun, right? A seed on top of nothing. That's all it does. Anyways, so I love to talk about creating wealth because I know what's possible. And it's just, it burdens my heart to see so many entrepreneurs out there struggling. I'm like, you're not doing government contracts. Like, it's a young lady came to me. She's like, I've been watching your videos and I decided that I'm just gonna do it. And I got myself a blueprint. And my first contract, I bid it 1.5 million. And the Department of Veterans, I think, for teaching life skills. And she said, Department of Veterans Administration came back and said, what about 1.6 million for a first contract? Changed her life. But yet some people are like, I can't do it right now because I got to ask my spouse. And I can't do it right now because I got to pay my car note. I can't do it right now because, and you have glorified the liabilities. But when are you going to give yourself an opportunity to get yourself out of the rat race? The way that wealthy people think, like the decisions that they make, and everything is about making decisions. You're either in or you're out. That's it. It's a yes or a no. And so everything is about making a decision. And depending on what type of decisions you make at different times of your life, that is what shows up. And that game is so powerful. If you don't have it, like, you should be playing that game with your family at the family gatherings and stuff. Just play. We're going to play the cash flow game, because you don't know, like, these small investments in real estate and purchasing stocks and all of these different things. These are like moves that millionaires are making, like multimillionaires and billionaires are making. They've been making these moves for decades. And some of us, we're just getting started in making these moves. But if you never start, you can never build the momentum. Newton's law of motion talks about how an object in motion will remain in motion until acted upon by an outside force. Just if you go to the snowy mountains, right? Avalanches come from a small snowball that's in motion that just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? That's Newton's law of motion in action. And that stuff happens in every aspect. Like problems, if you have a problem that you don't resolve right quickly, nip it in the bud quickly, that problem and this happens in relationships and marriages, the problem just gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and bigger before it explodes. And people be looking at that situation, oh my God, they were just so happily married. What happened? They allowed the law of momentum to take over in this way. Also, you can apply Newton's law of motion in a monetary way, right? It just starts with a little seed that you plant, and you do the work, and it will give you results multiplied 10 times over or more. And then you reinvest and you do the work and you do more work, and those results begin to get bigger and bigger and bigger before they're like, oh my God, this person just blew up. They just became a millionaire overnight. No, they didn't see the late nights, the extra hour that you got up early in the morning, the extra hour that you stayed up reading a book and trying to figure out, who do I need to become so that I can do the work, right? So I can get the results that I want to get. They don't see the hard work of arguing with your spouse because you want to become a better person, and they're trying to pull you back to stay the same. And you're like, no, I need to become this person because this person is what gets this result, right? They don't see the hard work of being able to having to travel. Now you're like, oh my God, I'm just so exhausted from all of this thing. But guess what? It's the moment of working out your new identity so that you don't have to work so hard. You do the hard work up front. When you do the hard work up front, like, everything else becomes smooth sailing. But most people, they want to take the easy route. What is the easiest way? What's the quickest way? That seems like it's too hard. It's too much work. That's the easiest way. But it's the hard work up front that comes out to the easy work, right? Because once you get the momentum started, then guess what? I promise people will come and they will help you in all the other areas. Here's what you're going to need. You need systems and operations. Oh, I see that you've made your first million. Here's what you're going to need. You're going to need accounting and CFOs. You're going to need all these things. You're going to need an invoicing system. You're going to need to build out your C-suite. There's nothing that says, as soon as I make this amount of money, I'm going to stop and I'm going to be good. You have to continue learning, continue growing, continue tweaking and growing in those particular ways. And most people think that all I got to do is just sell this service. No, there's business operation. It's work. I'm telling y'all, it's the most work that most people won't do, which is why most people are not millionaires, because they don't want to do the work. But if you don't work, you can't play. So that's how you get rich. And then become the person you need to be that get rich. And then lastly, the last thing on the list is you have to have a premium offer. Premium offer is find yourself a service, whether you have a service or a product, package it in a way that it has so much value in it that people are willing to pay you at least $250,000 for it. All you have to do that to reach your first $1 million in a year or in a month is sell that 4 times. You sell that 4 times a month, that's $1 million a month. Sell that 4 times a year, that's $1 million a year. You sell that 4 times over a 2-year period, then that's that's $500,000 a year over a 2-year period. But you have to create the plan and then back into the numbers, but you can do it, right? I have seen and I have witnessed and I have experienced generating $1 million in a month. And I have witnessed people actually generate those things in a year or in a single day. I'm in a circle of 7-figure earners, multiple 7-figure earners. So I've seen these things happen, and it can happen for you. It's just you got to remove the limitations, the things that's holding you bound, the things that are holding you back from getting to becoming the person that you need to become, so that you can do the things that you need to do, so that you can have the result that you want to have. And if you want to get rich in 2024, it's time for change. So that's my rant for today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this has been of value for you. Get yourself registered, govcommasterclass.com, for my upcoming masterclass. I think it's in a few days, probably in a couple of weeks or something like that. But get yourself registered and just come get some more information. Because in this particular masterclass, you guys, I'm going to be sharing with you some loopholes in government contracting that can help you actually get results this year, so that you can be well on your way to getting rich and making more money than you have time to spend in your lifetime. So I'll see you guys at the top. And until next time, go be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, and subdue it. And then you will have dominion over every circumstance that's been holding you back from becoming the person that you need to become. See you later.